This past summer, I made my first ever documentary. If you're watching this video, you've probably already seen it. If not, go watch it here. And you've probably already seen the behind the scenes video I made on the making of that documentary. If not, go watch that here. In this video, instead of being about how I made the doc, I'm going to talk about some of the lessons and tips I learned from making it that will hopefully help me out in future projects and also potentially help you out as well. There's no ranking for these, I'm just going to blurt them out as I go. The first one on my list is don't be afraid to reach out to people. Most people are usually really friendly. If you're a more experienced filmmaker that has already collaborated with a bunch of people and have possibly already made a bunch of docs, then you already know this. In which case, what are you doing here? You are way too advanced for this channel. But if you're young, fresh, just starting out, very shy, timid, introverted, coward, like me, then the idea of sending out emails, calling people and asking them for permission to film, interview them, and etc. will probably stress you out. But depending on who you're reaching out to, most people are really friendly and would be very willing to help you out. Within reason, of course. You can't just reach out to whoever and start making demands. But if you're nice and try to make the whole thing as easy as possible for them, then you have a pretty good chance that they'll say yes, even if it seems scary. And don't be afraid if they say no, and if you think they will probably say no, take the chance anyway. You never know. When we were filming the COVID testing scene, my original plan was to just shoot it from the outside because there were a lot of army soldiers there who were very adamant about not allowing us inside to film. But we were friendly, told them what this project was for, told them that I wasn't part of any big company or news, and kindly asked if there was any way we could film. We waited for a long bit, as each soldier went off and asked another soldier, going all the way up the ranking until eventually the head guy was like, yeah, sure. But he gave us a whole list of restrictions, as in no faces, no name tags, no license plates, only film yourself or the person you have permission to film, and we also had to test ourselves if we wanted to get inside. It wasn't too bad, and we were still able to get some really nice footage. So we could have said, nah, they probably won't let us, but we said, fuck it. We asked, and they were cool about it. They helped us as much as they could. Second thing on the list, be flexible. Have backup options. Depending on the type of doc you're making, you might not have a script per se, so you're just trying to film as much as possible and figure out the story as you go. With the COVID testing scene, we had no idea that was going on until literally the last couple of hours that place was operating. But on a more relevant note, we also had an interview shoot scheduled with another business owner in town. However, on the day of the shoot, when we walked in, she had forgot about it, I guess, and was out of town. So, walking back to my car frustrated, instead of calling it a day, I called up the mayor of the town to snitch. No, just kidding. But I scheduled a day to film an interview with her instead, and I believe the doc was much better for it. So, if things don't go as planned, don't panic, be flexible, and things will probably be okay. Be prepared. Try to have the necessary gear. For the longest time, I only had a 35mm lens, which worked fine. But as I started shooting this, I realized that a wide lens wasn't going to cut it for a lot of the shots I needed. So I bought an 85mm lens, which came in real handy for the shots where I couldn't get up close, and also, with the more compacted background, gave me a unique look to a lot of the images. I also only had a shotgun mic at first, but for the scenes where I didn't have a boom op, I had to buy a lavalier mic in order to get good audio. The other gear related thing is to know your gear and know what to do in certain situations. A whole year ago, when shooting the carnival footage, I took my Rokinon lens in the morning to film the parade, and it was all fogged up. I thought it was broken and had to resort to using my kit lens. Later in the day, it defogged and it was completely fine. I had never had that issue before, so I was very surprised and was not prepared for it. And I hadn't had that issue ever since, except on the morning of my very first interview, when it was all fogged up again. I knew it would defog, so I didn't panic, but I ended up wasting a lot of time just asking my interviewee to sit around while I waited for the lens to clear up. And Eventually I got tired of waiting around, so I just started shooting even though it wasn't completely done defogging. So know your gear, know what certain situations do to your gear and how it affects them, and how to be prepared for it. If I would have known it would fogged up, I would have arrived half an hour sooner than I did. Check your final render on multiple devices. This is more for the color grading side of things. This is something I've been dealing with for several of my videos, and I still deal with it today. I don't have the most high-end monitor for things like color grading, so I'll end up making something that looks amazing on my end, but completely bleh on other screens. I'm not really happy with how the dock looks on other devices, but if I remove it now, I won't get those views back that it already got, and oh well, I'll just have to live with the way it looks on other devices. It doesn't look terrible, but like it's not what I wanted, bro. Yo. Second drafts are important. I have never done a second draft on any of my projects, including my own scripts. Why? Because most of the things I've done before were just dumb shorts that I only wanted to get out quickly. My first time doing a second draft was in film school when I was working as a writer on a project that wasn't mine. And yes, the second and third drafts were huge improvements. On this doc, after taking an entire month to complete a first cut of the doc, I stepped away for several days before finishing it, mainly because I was so goddamn tired of it. But when I came back to it, I had a fresher set of eyes and was able to notice all the details and structural issues that I hadn't noticed before. Also, during the first cut, because I had spent a whole month on it, I was just tired of it and I just wanted to rush it out. But by taking those extra few days as a much needed break, I was able to push myself and spend a little bit more time to give the doc a little more love and care that it definitely needed. Which leads into feedback is crucial. This kind of goes hand in hand with the second draft. The only feedback I've received before publishing something was on the writing assignments I had. For this doc, during the break in between the first and second cut, I sent the video to someone whose opinion I trusted, and I was then able to have a conversation with them about the different issues they had with the doc, and they were able to point out where they felt the editing or the narrative could have been improved. This was the biggest factor in the final outcome of my documentary. Now, I'm not saying this doc is Netflix quality or anything. I'm just judging it based off of my skill set and the films I've made before. And I genuinely believe this is the best film I've made thus far. And getting feedback prior to going into the second draft was a huge reason as to why. I didn't end on a second draft, by the way. The final video was actually a fourth cut, but all of the changes I made started with the second draft. Anyways, those were the biggest lessons I've learned from my journey making this documentary that I will take with me as I go on and continue my filmmaking journey. If you made it this far, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoy this video. If you've seen the behind the scenes on the making of the video, thanks. If you haven't, go watch that. And if you haven't seen the documentary, but for some reason watch this, go ahead and watch that. And remember to smash that subscribe button. No, just kidding. Actually, no, but seriously, please subscribe. I've been on YouTube for like 10 years and I'm so close to hitting 200 subscribers. Guys, please make my dreams come true. Okay, right, bye. Thank you, bye.